Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Spyderco Ikuchi, the new QCI version. They have upgraded it and fixed one of the, arguably a pretty major problem that this knife had. And it's also the reason why I never got one before. And I will say, I didn't buy this one either. I thank you very much. One of my very generous viewers sent this to me, and I do very much appreciate that. It is a super cool, slim little gentleman's knife, especially now that the major flaw has been fixed. This is going to be a full review, but I'm going to do all the stats and size comparisons and all that stuff I usually do. But just to get this out of the way at first, the problem that it had before was when you close this nice slender little blade, the tip was very, very close to the edge there, and you could definitely cut yourself on it. This one, you can't. I know some people have said, I saw one person said, I saw in a review, I think on Blade HQ or something like that, that now the blade comes too close when you close the compression lock. I don't find that. I can't touch it. I don't have very thick fingers, but you can see I pushed out hard enough to leave a line, and I can't touch it. So I'm not sure if that's a thing or not, or maybe that guy just has particularly squidgy fingertips or something, but they seem to have fixed it. It also now has the pivot bushing that almost all the Taichung CQI knives have now, which makes it super smooth. It is extremely drop shutty now. It is very, I don't know how the other one was. I never had it, but it is extremely smooth now. I will say that. This is a Paul Alexander design. Obviously very swoopy. I always liked the look of it, but then I heard that thing about the blade, and so I just never got one. So I'm glad that they fixed all that because I really like having it around. It is very pretty. It does have the peel ply carbon that I know some of you guys hate, the typical Taichung finish that you see like on the Sage 5 and several other models. But you know what? I kind of like it. I think it looks good. And we haven't talked about the price yet. This one was not hit too bad by the new Spyderco price increases. $140. You're getting S30V, the peel ply carbon, Taichung quality, nice deep carry wire clip. I'm perfectly fine with the price on it. I honestly am. I'm completely fine with it. And yes, the Spidey hole is completely ornamental. When you close it, yeah, you can go through there. I know people have joked around and put locks through it and stuff, but it's just ornamental. But it's pretty cool. It has a very unique opening system. We'll talk more about that later. This kind of a wheel flipper, and it is very snappy. We're going to talk more about that too. It took some effort to get it perfect, but yeah, we'll get to that. Let's do some specs and size comparisons before we get too much farther. You have an overall length of 7.6 inches, blade length of 3¼ inches. You have a blade thickness very thin, just 0.09, handle thickness of 0.44 inches, and weight just over 2 ounces. I weighted at 2.07. I think they claimed 2.1 or something like that. But at any rate, it's a very, very light knife. Size comparisons, we'll do our usual Spyderco sandwich. You have your Para 3 and the PM2. So you can see it's actually quite a long knife. It's very slender, but it is quite long. And cutting edge, you're getting almost exactly the same as you are on the PM2. So can't really knock that as far as packaging of the blade, but I think that's the mistake they made in the first version of it. They went a little too far with the packaging of the blade, and there was still a little bit peeking out there. Now let's do a couple more size comparisons. You have your Benchmade bug out, and this is the full-size Griptilian. So again, you can see it's about the same length as a bug out, but much more slender, obviously. And another Benchmade that I think is appropriate to show here because they both are kind of in the same, spiritual realm, if that's a thing with knives. I don't know. That was a really dumb thing to say, but we're going to leave it in. Your Benchmade 940, another slender, thin knife. This is more carbon. This is the 940-1, so price-wise, huge difference. This is only 140. These are like 280 something, so quite a big difference price-wise. But very, very similar in overall like design purpose. That's the word I was looking for. All right, talk about this knife, the blade. I really like it. It's very thin behind the edge, very thin blade stock, very slicey. It's definitely not heavy duty, but you could tell that just by glancing at it. It's not something that you're gonna want to go prying anything with it. You shouldn't do that anyway, but it works great for your normal EDC tasks, even cutting cardboard, all that kind of stuff, cutting off strings, cutting open boxes. I use it a little bit for food stuff. Was at a steakhouse the other day, and they gave me a crappy knife, so I use this, and it works very, very well. It's a really nice, useful blade, and again, like I said, extremely slicey. The thinness behind the edge escapes me at the moment, so let's do it live. I forgot to write that down, so we'll make sure we get that on here, because you guys always like that I do that, because not everybody does. I don't think it's shockingly thin behind the edge, but the blade stock is so thin. Yeah, I'm only getting, 24 thousandths, so let's grab another spot here. I don't have my reading glasses on, so this is a bit difficult. Yeah, I'm getting a weird one on that. This is so stupid to do live. Yeah, about 24 thousandths behind the edge. That's not bad. It's not great, but the blade stock is so thin, I tell you guys, using it, it slices extremely well. I have no problems with that. And, blade stock this thin, when you get super thin behind the edge, it makes it even more fragile. So I'm relatively okay with that. It came screaming sharp out of the box. No problems there. As far as the ergonomics go, you know what? A lot better than I expected. That was, looking in pictures, one thing I wasn't sure about, because I have really long fingers. They're skinny, but a lot of times these thin handle knives don't work that well. The 940 has been about the only one with this thin a handle that really works that well for me, but this one works, pretty darn good. They have some jimping down here, which is great. Kind of internal jimping that works to really hold you in. You feel pretty locked into it. You can definitely feel that wire clip, but the wire clip flexes if you squeeze hard enough, so it's not really like a huge hot spot. I wouldn't mind a little bit of jimping up here. I wouldn't mind that at all, just a tiny little bit. I know this isn't like a working kind of knife, but that would not be too bad. As far as the carry goes, excellent. That little wheel flipper, you don't have any flipper tabs sticking out. Nice deep carry wire clip. It completely disappears in your pocket. Weighs almost nothing. I mean, you're getting down to almost bug out weight there at 2.1 ounces. So yeah, it disappears in the pocket. Slide your hand by it completely easy. It's a really, really, really nice knife to carry. And now you don't have to worry about cutting your hand in your pocket with it anymore. So that's pretty great. Deployment. This is going to get a bit more complicated. So this one now is superb. Detent is perfect. Nice and drop shutty. It was always nice and drop shutty. That detent took some playing around. When I first got it out of the box, it was stiff. And with this wheel flipper, you're relying on that jimping and the traction on your finger to get it open. So I sat and flipped it for a couple days, hoping it would break in, and it was starting to, and it probably would have if I just used it like that for like a month, but my little fender was starting to hurt, and I was getting a boo-boo, so I tore it apart, and I backed the detent off a little bit. So I just bent it back a little bit, and it's fine. It's great now. I bent it back like just a tiny little bit. Spyderco, I swear I didn't break it, but now the action on it is outstanding. But out of the box, and I'm not the only one who said this, out of the box, these are stiff. And that's odd for Taichung. Normally, they make them too weak, but these out of the box are pretty stiff. So keep that in mind. You're either going to have to suck it up and let it break in, or open it up and back it off a bit, unless you just really like the detent that stiff. But now it's awesome. And of course, it is a compression lock, so you can flick it open. Now, getting this compression lock, I would not mind a bit more of a cutout there, but I can kind of see why they didn't, because of the aforementioned, the heel of the blade being very, very close. I can understand why they didn't, but I primarily use this compression lock with my fingernail. I don't know how other people do it. I mean, yeah, I can get my finger in there completely and it works, but I just mostly use my fingernail. Probably another reason why I don't find that heel of the blade thing to be a problem, because I'm mostly using my fingernail. But yeah, this is a compression lock fit into the tightest place you could possibly put it. I'm not saying it's too tight, but that's as tight as you can go. You can't go any more than that. Yeah, don't do this, by the way. I didn't get bit by it, but my first reflex was to, because I'm used to, like the PM2, you got that forward finger choil. So I often close it just, like that, and let it drop, and then finish closing it. Yeah, don't do that with this. Do not do that. You will get cut. I started to, and I realized, oh no, don't do that, because that heel was going to hit right on my finger. And that's kind of the most common way I get cut. It seems like knives falling on me. But yeah, I do like the action now. Overall impressions, you know, 140 bucks, and it looks great, and it's really lightweight, and I really do like it. And yes, this was a gift from the viewer, so I'm obviously going to keep it, but I think I probably would have anyway. I do really like it. It's been really nice to carry, especially, you know, when I got fancy stuff, and I have a fancy thing tonight, and you know what? This what's going to be in my pocket. I just really like it. It's a really good knife, and a lot of people before in reviews would say they still liked it, even though it had that flaw where you could cut your finger on it. And I was kind of like, how can you, put up with that? Now I kind of get it, because it is so much other things about it are great that I do kind of get it. And like I said, it's a bit thicker behind the edge than I thought it was. I just assumed it was super, super thin because I was slicing like crazy with it. But you don't notice it because the blade stock's so thin. So I'm not even going to complain about that, even though I just discovered it live on camera. Really, really nice knife. I really do like it. And for 140 bucks again, like, this is oddly a Tai Chung Spyderco that's probably one of the better values in the Spyderco catalog. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.